If today were truly the last day of your life, are you sure you know where you're going? This simple and direct question hides a profound truth that many prefer to ignore. We live our lives immersed in daily worries, struggling with dreams and goals. But how much do we stop to reflect on what really matters? Where will your soul be when this life ends? Will you be with God for eternity or far from Him in a place of endless torment and remorse? This is not a question to inspire fear, but to awaken an awareness. The world we live in is constantly distracting us, but life is fragile. You are here today, but what about tomorrow? If today were your last day, are you sure of the path you are walking? Too often we let small, everyday worries keep us away from important questions like this one. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel. In this space, we address topics that touch the heart and soul. Do not miss the next videos that could make a difference in your life. The fundamental question to ask is, are you really a Christian? It is not enough to be raised in a religious family or to go to church regularly. The Christian faith is not a tradition or a habit, but a personal and living relationship with God. If you examine your life today, can you say that you are at peace with God? Or do you realize that deep down, your faith has been put aside, left in the background? God warns us against a lukewarm faith. In Revelation chapter 3, verse 16, we are clearly told, "So because you are lukewarm, I will vomit you out of my mouth." Strong words, which remind us how important it is to live an authentic faith. God asks us to make a choice. Either we are with Him or we are far away. There are no half measures. We cannot live a life divided between the pleasure of the world and the desire to follow Him. Many people think that believing in God is enough. They say, "I believe in God, therefore I will go to heaven." But the Bible teaches us that it is not enough to simply believe. Even the devil knows that God exists, yet he will not be saved. True faith requires much more. It requires giving one's life to Christ, acknowledging one's sins, and trusting Him completely. The Gospel of Mark reminds us, "What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul?" If these words make you think, if you feel that these questions resonate within you, like and leave a comment below. But now, let us reflect on what God asks of us. We cannot afford to be lukewarm in our faith. Jesus does not call us to a comfortable and superficial life, but to a true transformation. Many think that attending church, doing good works, or professing the name of God is enough to guarantee themselves heaven. But Jesus Himself said that many will come to Him, claiming to have done wonderful works in His name, and yet, as the Gospel of Matthew quotes, He will respond, "I never knew you." This should make us reflect deeply. True faith is a personal and intimate relationship with God, which transforms our life and pushes us to live according to His will, not only in words, but in deeds. When we talk about faith, we are talking about a choice that goes beyond simple belief. True faith changes us, transforms us from within. But in order to receive this transformation, we must make a clear choice. Where do we place our heart? Do we truly live for God, or do we let ourselves be distracted by the temptations of the world? Faith is not a compromise. Jesus asks us to follow Him with all our heart, without reservations. We cannot think of maintaining control of our life and at the same time letting Him guide us. Every day, thousands of people leave this earth. But are you really ready for that moment? Time is short, life is uncertain. We don't know when our last day will come. But what we do know is that God calls us to take our spiritual life seriously. Every moment counts. every decision we make today will impact eternity. If you're living a life far from God, today is the day to come back to Him. Don't procrastinate, don't wait for the perfect moment, because that moment may never come. If you think that God will ignore sin because He is a God of love, stop and think. Of course, God is love, but He is also just, and His justice cannot ignore sin. His love is manifested precisely in the possibility of forgiving us through the sacrifice of Jesus. But we cannot live in sin expecting God to turn a blind eye. Repentance is essential. Only through repentance can we recognize our fragility and let God transform us. Share this video with those you care about, because they too may need to think about these crucial questions. Subscribe to the channel to grow with us in faith, seeking to find lasting peace. The path to God is a path of light, and His light is pure, without shadows, without compromise. When we choose to live for Him, we let His light illuminate every corner of our lives. But this also means abandoning the darkness, the hidden sins, the selfish choices that distance us from Him. God offers us His grace, but we must be ready to accept it, to give up what keeps us tied to the world. Let yourself be inspired by this message of hope. God is always beside you, ready to give you a new life, full of peace and love. No matter how far you have distanced yourself, His embrace is always open, ready to welcome you. Today, you can choose to live with a renewed faith, to find the true joy that only He can offer. May you walk in the light of God every day, guided by His grace, towards a future full of hope and serenity.